What up, guys? Welcome to a very special episode of Santa Cruz Medicinals Radio. Today, I have Sillz with me, and he's been here for a few days. We've been doing the damn thing, lifting, surfing. A surfboard almost took you out. We went to the ER, got stitched up.
It's been a hell of a few days, hell of a weekend. It's been a good time.
And we've been eating a lot of good food, man. So I first started seeing your videos a while back, and then this style of video you started to do recently, it just blew you into the stratosphere of breaking down the micronutrients and basically figuring out if someone's diet is really healthy. Because you'll see people eat these diets and do day in the life of eating, but they don't really get that many vitamins and minerals. We kind of know what we need as human beings, and sometimes people really miss out on certain stuff. So how did you even get into that side of content? When did you start doing that?
Yeah, man. So I discovered a few really cool applications that allowed me to track vitamin and mineral intake. And I just became so obsessed with it. I love looking, because I'd see people make content and they'd be like, oh, I'm eating this food. It's super nutrient dense. And I feel like if you kind of Google a food, is apple nutrient dense, and you go to Healthline or something, it will say a lot of stuff that's not necessarily true.
It says it's great. It's yes, an apple is amazing. And apples are great, guys. But you can actually know now what is in an average apple.
Yeah. And I'm obsessed with data. I just love seeing numbers, and I just became obsessed with it. I think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share it with people. So I'd look at something I think the first diet review video that I did was Paul Saladino. Because he's always saying these are the most nutrient dense foods, da da da. And I'm like, let's see. That's where that came from, that let's calculate his micronutrient intake and see how healthy his diet really is. That was actually what I was thinking. Let's see how healthy this guy really is. And I think with him, it actually ended up being very healthy. I do think that's a good diet for the most part. And then people loved it. And something I learned from being on social media a lot is when people love things, you keep doing it.
Yeah,
absolutely. I really loved making those videos. They were super fun. So I'm like, hell yeah. And I just kept going. And I think I've probably made over 100 of them. And you would think that by this point they would get but people have loved them. I've never had anybody be like, yo, this is getting old. It's more do this guy's diet again. Or I kind of like how you always say it the same way. And it's been awesome. And it's been I've branched out a lot and done a lot of other things, but that's been a really good base for my content.
Well, you learn a lot through your videos. You know what I mean? You get to learn about different foods and what minerals are in them and what vitamins. And I always tell people, I have this, because I got my degree in anthropology. So I view it from this lens of you can't outrun your biology. There's certain things that we've just evolved with for so long, whatever you believe in, hey, Homo sapiens have been around here for 200 to 300,000 years. And we've just evolved, and there's certain things that our body requires. Certain stimulus, exercise, you need protein, you need water. And I also think you need your vitamins and minerals. They're there for a reason, right? When you start to learn about what different vitamins and minerals do in the body, then you start to think, okay, there's sort of this beautiful design in human beings, in Homo sapiens, where once you get all this stuff, your body has what it needs to function optimally with your skin health, your brain health, your mitochondrial health. You need these inputs, and your body can survive without them, but you're just compromised. So tell me some of the vitamins and minerals, just a few that you see people sometimes missing, and what those can do for the body.
Yeah, and to expand on your point, one of the things that got me into looking at nutrients so much was because when I was younger, I had some problems. Growing up, I was one of those people who was diagnosed with what I'll call ADHD, right? It was
Me too.
I couldn't focus in school.
Yeah.
And it was we got to fix this. So it was let's give you a stimulant, let's give you the pill. And I took that for a while, and I hated the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
And I was there's got to be some sort of alternate action. This is not the way. This is not natural. I just had that gut feeling I don't want to be doing this. So that's why it's then I started to realize the power of the diet, and I started looking into these things and what can I eat to maximize what I have naturally. And then I started to, once I stopped taking that stuff and started focusing on diet, started focusing on lifestyle, I've been able to I wouldn't have been able to do this back in the day. I would have trouble with this. And now it just comes second nature because I found a way to do it naturally. And that's what got me into it. In terms of looking at all these diets and seeing the vitamins that people are deficient in, it really depends on the type of diet. I would say the most common deficiency I see is magnesium, because there's not really a food that's going to give you all of the RDI for magnesium. Vitamin C, you eat an orange or a couple kiwis and you got the whole RDI. Magnesium, it's really just about having a diversified diet, getting a lot of foods in there.
Leafy greens, dark chocolate, some real full fat dairy products. Appear to have some good magnesium. But yeah, I've made posts on that too. I track my diet just like you do, and I've put in days of eating into a chronometer and looked at everything, and I find I oftentimes fall a few hundred milligrams short in the magnesium, so I do supplement. But it also like, and this is a bad thing to say as somebody who sells magnesium supplements, but like they've gotten a bit crazy with like magnesium good, and people are supplementing, I think, too much. There's a magnesium to potassium balance in the body. There's an electrolyte balance. Like you can like throw things off. And while it would be great for me to tell you to take like three, four, five, take as many as most people appear to fall like, I don't know. It depends. If you have a good diet, maybe 200 milligrams short. I'm just generalizing here, but like 300 milligrams, maybe if you're a bigger person. But yeah, it is tough to get their diet. You know why I think that is? Also, we learned about the actual water we used to drink as Homo sapiens was oftentimes from springs, and like real spring water has magnesium, and like we just don't have that nowadays. It's probably not even. It's not safe to go get water from a spring. Don't go do that. It's not 200,000 years ago, but we probably got a lot of magnesium through that.
Yeah, no, magnesium, definitely that one. Then another obvious one, which I'm looking at right now, is vitamin D. Because
Yeah.
I mean, dietary vitamin D isn't very abundant. You're gonna get that through sunlight mainly, but
Yep.
not all of us live in this beautiful place in San Diego. I, for instance,
far.
live in New York City. I'm from Boston, born and raised.
Yep.
So during the winter, taking a vitamin D3 supplement is essential.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that direct sunlight. You can get it through some foods like fatty fish. Eggs have a decent amount. But yeah, that's, during the winter months. And as I review people's diets in the winter, that's something I'm going to look out for. Super important.
Yeah, I mean, people just sometimes, that's the thing. People give a lot of pushback of why do I need a supplement with something? It's like, man, you're just going to feel better when you give your body everything that it needs. You know what I mean? There's certain foods that like you've fallen in love with. And so now we're going to get into those 5 foods that I totally agree that we're both on the same page here. I really don't know anyone who wouldn't be on the same page here. Obviously, there's some people who are vegan. There's this, that, carnivore. We're not any of those. We're both omnivores. We eat a variety of foods. And if you are an athlete, if you are lifting weights, yes, your macros are very important, guys. We're both people that say calories in, calories out matters for weight loss. Yes, of course. Protein matters. Carbohydrate level matters. Find something that works for you. But if you're not getting these micronutrients, you're just missing out, and you'll find out with these 5 foods we're about to tell you right now. It's stupid easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're trying to lose weight, like, yeah, you can do the force the calories out, because at the end of the day, there is the thermodynamics, calories in, calories out. That's how it works. That's how you lose weight. But a lot of people, that message got kind of over relayed to the point where people are like, okay, I can just eat Twinkies and eat in a deficit and I'll lose weight. And that's not sustainable, because once you take off those training wheels of the counting calories and like, okay, I'm counting 2,000 calories, but I'm eating the same stuff that I used to. Eventually, when you say, hey, I've lost all the weight and now I just want to go back to normal, and you stop counting calories, inevitably you're going to gain the weight back. That's why when you want to lose weight, counting calories is a great way to make sure that you get there. And I would recommend that you do it.
Yeah.
But in tandem with concurrently tracking your micronutrients, making sure you're getting all your micronutrients, making sure you're getting all of your protein, limiting processed foods, and putting in these healthy habits that will make it sustainable so you can keep off the weight. And then when you take off that training wheel of counting calories, you're not going to ever gain the weight back. And you don't have to worry about it, because you're locked in, you're in this lifestyle, and you don't like fit forever.
That's 100%. I 100% agree. Here's the thing with counting calories, guys. Yes, it works. We talked about the Twinkie study right there. Yes, you can lose weight eating foods I hate. You could lose weight and you get jacked eating McDonald's every single day, doing something that I hate. If you're in a calorie deficit, you're training hard. However, you are creating an uphill battle for yourself. The body is more complex than that. We have an immune system. We have an endocrine system. We have the quality of our sleep. We have thyroid health. We have gut health. And if you try to just eat trash and you see these short-term results because you're like, well, I'm able to eat this bad food and stay jacked or lean, there is a deeper conversation about what is going on with your gut, with your brain health, with cancer. We had a cancer doctor in here. The stats on cancer is insane. We don't know what some of these foods are doing to our health. So I would recommend just going the way that we do, mostly whole foods based diet. Let's get into 5 of our favorites right here. I want you to break these down for me, starting off with number 1.
Number 1, that's a no-brainer for me. I'm going to go with eggs. If you follow my videos, you know exactly what's in eggs. They're loaded with B vitamins, choline, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, iron, phosphorus, and selenium. So an absolute nutrient powerhouse. I want to caveat that when you're eating eggs, typically the serving size will be 1 to 2 eggs. It'll be, if you go to a restaurant, 1 egg omelet, 2 egg omelet. If you want to really get the benefits and the nutrients, you need to have a higher caloric serving. I typically like to eat 6 eggs. So looking at B vitamins, those are really important for energy production. They're really important for growth and development in children. Choline, that is one of the most brain healthy nutrients you can consume. It's so good for the development of your brain, mental clarity, focus. As I was talking about earlier, when I was younger and having ADHD, getting nutrients like choline is really important for people like that. So you can focus, you can develop your brain, and ultimately perform better in school, perform better at your job, perform better in a freaking podcast. Then you talk about vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E. Vitamin A is a super important nutrient. You're getting retinol, the active form, from eggs. You're not getting a huge amount. Vitamin D, as we just talked about, is something that is not very abundant in food. So eggs, don't give you all of your vitamin D for the day, but a good amount to add to that. Vitamin E, one of the most difficult nutrients to get through food. Once again, eggs don't provide all of your vitamin E intake, but they do provide a good amount. Then looking on the mineral side, you got iron, which is super important for your energy levels, phosphorus and selenium. You got really healthy fats coming from eggs. One of the most bioavailable sources of protein. A lot of people are afraid of the egg yolks. A lot of people don't want the fat. They just eat the egg whites. It's like, I get it, right? Eating protein is going to help you stay full. It's going to help you build muscle, but not having the egg yolks is a mistake. And I learned that the hard way. When I was younger, I used to try to cut weight and I would have a breakfast of like oatmeal, egg whites. And it's like, I'm not having fat. I felt like shit. And that contributed to that trouble focusing that I had early on in my career.
100%. We've seen people break this down where, fats obviously are very calorically dense, and a lot of people think they want to eliminate them. And, I'm eliminating a lot of calories. You have different hunger hormones. You have leptin, ghrelin. Different foods affect how satiated you are and how full you feel. And that's critically important because you can wake up, you can have 6 eggs, and then you can not be crazy hungry and going through these cravings and torturing yourself. You feel full. So guess what? Now you feel good enough to go hit a workout and burn some calories, and your body has the nutrition it needs to do said workout. And then you've burnt more calories, and then for lunch you eat another nutrient-dense meal, and the cycle repeats itself. And then you end up having this situation where you are not in a crazy calorie surplus because your body has the energy it needs. It has the building blocks for testosterone if you're watching this, and your other hormones. Then you just feel better. So that's really this is what we're designed to do. When we go over these micronutrients, when you do these videos, what I've really understood is we are not designed to be in some crazy deficit and just eating small amounts of food and existing that way. You will create micronutrient deficiencies if you do that for an extended period of time. We are designed as Homo sapiens to move a lot. And with that becomes a need for calories. When you eat the foods that we're telling you right now, you feel good, you support your hormones. It's just a cycle of positivity, honestly.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that being in a caloric deficit is healthy, that being in a caloric deficit is a healthy thing. It is a healthy thing to do to fix the problem of being overweight. Being in a long-term caloric deficit is not good. You want to feed your body with the nutrients it needs. As Brendan alluded to, in my content, when I review diets, we see these people going on these crash diets, 1,200 calories. More often than not, they have several nutrient deficiencies. It's kind of scary to look at. And then when you look at people who are on bulking diets, eating 3,000-4,000 calories, most of the time they don't have vitamin and mineral deficiencies, or even just eating at caloric maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't track calories now. I have in the past for fun, and if I try to do a bulk, maybe I'll track some calories. If I want to do a cut, maybe I'll track some calories. But you get this innate sense of how your body feels. Tanner here, pro athlete, he does not track his calories right now. He just knows. You just start to know. You start to know, this day I moved a lot. I probably need to throw in a bit more carbohydrates. You just know the feeling of what it is. And now I'm in this maintenance phase, and every single time I get on the scale, it's within a few pounds difference. I'm never going crazy and get it ballooning up to for me, that would be ballooning up to 173, 174, 175. I'm never going where I'm oh my God, I'm dropping below 160 would be getting real lean for me. I'm always in this range, and it's very easy for me to dial in that range. It's insane how easy it is. It's crazy.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, and I know we were talking about this the other day, but back to the counting calorie thing, when you eat healthy, you have that freedom of not having to count calories. Because once you're at a healthy weight and you eat a nutrient-dense, high-protein, healthy diet, your body is going to be it's ultimately going to regulate your weight. If you're active, if you're moving, it's very difficult to just get fat eating that diet. And a lot of people say, but I want to include my favorite foods. I want to, have some candy and whatnot. And that's fine. But the way I look at it, when people say that, eating a strictly healthy diet is too restrictive, think about it like this. When you limit the foods that you eat and you limit the selection and, you stick to non-processed, high protein, nutrient dense foods, that enables you to essentially have the quantity aspect. You can essentially eat as much as you want until you can eat until you're full.
Yeah.
I want to be careful with my words here. You can eat until you're full and you don't have to worry about overeating. But when you start mixing in these foods, 10, 20% of your diet's fine. But like the higher that number gets up, and the more and more of your diet that's made up of processed food, processed sugar, things like that, then you kind of start having to restrict yourself on eating until you're full, which I just think is miserable. Like I'd rather just eat eggs and, eat till I'm full.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. This brings us to our second food.
So our second food, I'm going to go with salmon, or really any fatty fish. The important thing here, the main thing I want to go over is the omega-3 content. So omega-3s are incredibly important for brain health. They're incredibly important for anti-inflammatory effects. Really important for children, adolescents, developing your brain. Back to that whole mental clarity thing.
Skin health for all you looks maxers out there. Omega-3s
Absolutely.
are amazing. Salmon is a very skin healthy food. Vitamin, it's extremely important. Selenium is oftentimes called the beauty mineral for good reason. But yeah, how do you like to source your salmon? How do you like to make it?
Yeah, so I like to get wild caught salmon. They have it in most grocery stores. It is a little bit more expensive. Alaskan sockeye wild caught salmon. How I like to make it. I'll usually do I'm not, you're the chef here. But sometimes I'll do some sort of I'll usually just do salt, put it in the oven. Sometimes I'll have smoked salmon. I like that with my breakfast.
Smoked salmon's the easiest thing. I just did a recipe. You cut up cucumber, you put cream cheese, and you put some wild smoked salmon on there. Absolutely amazing. Little sesame seeds on there, salt and pepper. That's so easy. You can get some wild salmon and just basically put some olive oil on there, some lemon, some butter, throw it in the air fryer, some seasoning on there as well. It's very easy to make. I would say typically you want to go oven, air fryer for salmon. It's just difficult to cook in the pan, totally doable, but let's be real, for most people who tried to cook the salmon in the pan, Tanner, was that Vex bolts or I think that was Vex bolts. That didn't work out well. So oven or air fryer is pretty foolproof. What are some of the other nutrients that people are going to get through salmon?
Yeah, so salmon's going to have B vitamins, but that's not what makes salmon unique. It is very rich in B12, B vitamins, but you get that in other meats, you get that in eggs. Salmon's also going to have a lot of vitamin D. Mm-hmm. So vitamin D, not many foods are rich in vitamin D. I said eggs have a little bit of vitamin D. Salmon does have a lot of vitamin D. So it's one of the only food that's going to give you that vitamin D. So, during the winter months when you're not getting a lot of sunlight, salmon can be a good option to help that vitamin D intake. Like you said, selenium, what'd you call it? The
beauty mineral.
The beauty mineral.
Called,
salmon's also high in selenium and phosphorus. It's I put a lot of weight on those minerals, on those nutrients, omega-3s and vitamin D. I think those are some of the most important nutrients for human health. So that's why I put salmon up there. And then obviously B vitamins are super important as well. A good amount of iron too. A little bit of iron, not as much as something like beef. But yeah, just a great food to have a few times a week in your diet.
No, you can't go wrong with it.
Protein, obviously, too.
Absolutely. This brings us to our third food that you need to be eating. What do we got?
Yeah, so we only got 5. I feel like we got to make this 6, honestly, but
we might throw in a bonus for you guys at the end. You'll see.
Might have to throw in a bonus here. So number 3, I'm going to go with leafy greens. Now, I know leafy greens get a lot of hate, because of the plant defense chemicals, but at the end of the day, they are the most nutrient dense vegetable there is. They're really going to help at getting those vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K. Very small serving of leafy greens will really do a little does a lot. And so you can really easily get it into recipes and stuff. It has a lot of folate. It's got magnesium. So, there's this whole kale's bullshit. At the end of the day,
I think it just gets down to, if you have leafy greens, you should cook them. And I'm not saying even with just I'll have raw, just salad greens, but when you do look at the plant defense chemicals in something like raw spinach, there could be an issue with oxalates. If you're somebody who's doing a fair amount of raw kale or raw spinach, that's where I do agree with Saladino that oxalates can be an issue in that quantity. However, no one ever has really done raw spinach. This is a very recent thing where people are eating raw spinach and raw kale.
I don't even think it tastes good.
No, it doesn't taste good. Your body sort of knows. When you cook those foods, it reduces the amount of plant defense chemicals significantly, very significantly. So greens in general, like I'm a fan of them. I include them in my recipes. We just made a recipe with some veggies in there. I'm a big fan of bok choy, which is a great leafy
So
green,
good.
and it goes really well in recipes. Bok choy is extremely low in oxalates, even raw. So bok choy, when you cook some of it, it's gonna have less oxalates than a cup of raspberries, like equivalent. So when you hear people like Saladino talk about plant defense chemicals, I really wonder, when they advocate for fruit and meat, strawberries have oxalates, raspberries have oxalates, blackberries, which are amazing, have oxalates. I think if you're getting a lot of oxalates, and of course, different people are going to be sensitive to this in different, quantities. For most people, throw some spinach into your ground beef. You're going to be good, or have some with your eggs. You're going to be more than good. Bok choy, broccoli, other things, and keep on talking about the nutrition in those because it is unique.
Yeah, and I mean, on that point, just want to leapfrog off of that a little bit. Something we talked about earlier was balanced diet. So, I mean, if you're eating a balanced diet, at the end of the day, when we talk about plant defense chemicals and how they're bad, you could say something bad about just about any food group. You could talk about the sugar in fruit. You can talk about the saturated fat in meat. You can go on and on. So, like the plant defense chemicals, Paul Saladino is a pretty creative marketing strategy, finding something that people had never really talked about, which is the plant defense chemicals that are a real thing in vegetables. But does that mean you should not eat vegetables? The answer for me is no.
Yeah, and like they can be an issue when you get like way too much of a certain food group. A long time ago, you guys won't even know this, but we were formulating and we sold some of it, but it started to melt. This trail mix through Santa Cruz Paleo. So it was nuts roasted in coconut oil because I don't want the seed oils, and then it was like macadamia nuts. Oh, it was so good. And then we had the stevia chocolate chips in there. So good, dude. Like it tasted delicious. Almost, I mean, the toasted hazelnuts in there. It almost tasted like Nutella. But then that product would just melt in the summer, and we don't want to sell. I like to sell everything affordably. So Amazon was like, you would need to throw in an ice pack thing and do cold shipping, and it would just make it way too much for like 2 bags of trail mix. So I ended up scrapping that product. But when we were formulating it, I started eating so much of it. It was excessive, dude. Like we were just eating, so much of it. I didn't have as much money at the time as I do now. So I was like, I need these calories. They're around, you know what I mean? Like, let's go. And I definitely started to feel the effects of that phytic acid. But do I feel the effects now when I have some almonds occasionally or, no, not at all. But when I was eating, handfuls and handfuls of trail mix every day, yes, I actually did start to get those effects. So it's pretty,
The key here is balanced diet.
Exactly. Yeah, balanced diet for sure. So we got leafy greens coming in. What was that number 3?
Number 3.
Leafy greens at number 3. Number 4. What do we got?
All right, so here I'm gonna do a little bit of curveball. I'm gonna say blackberries / kiwis. I mean,
Okay,
I think
nice.
the answer here is nutrient dense fruit. And like
Yes.
if you follow my videos, looking for those nutrient dense fruits. And the reason why I can't just put kiwis without putting blackberries in there is because blackberries are kind of the double whammy, right? So you got that vitamin E, that vitamin C, vitamin K, all these nutrients. And then you also have such rich antioxidant content, such brain healthy antioxidants. I can't leave them off the list. But then kiwis are so amazing because not only they're high in vitamin C, vitamin E, which is, I mentioned earlier, hard to get through food. They have electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, but that vitamin K1, like when we talk about some people, like if you don't like spinach and you don't like vegetables, like kiwi is one of the only fruits that's actually going to give you a good amount of vitamin K1. And vitamin K1 is important for blood clotting. I've had an accident the other day and that came in handy that I'm the kiwi guy. So.
Yeah. No, it's facts. Yeah. I mean, like you always talk about kiwis. I love kiwis. And I didn't know they had, vitamin K1 and this sort of very unique nutrient profile. I think when I thought of kiwis, I thought, okay, we're going to get some potassium. We're going to get some vitamin C. I know certain fruits like mango have some vitamin E in them. So it's really interesting to look at the different nutrient profiles of different fruits. Because I love fruit. I'm very active. So it's one of my favorite sources of carbohydrates. And yeah, dude, now I've been starting to do more blackberries and more, like wild blueberries and stuff like that. And guys, you can get these foods affordably frozen. You're like, oh, blackberries are expensive. Yeah, you are right. You go and you get frozen blackberries. It's not that expensive at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like there's a big misconception that frozen fruit is the same as like a frozen dinner, and that it's like frozen, so it's not good for you. If
frozen
you look
fruit, better,
like technically, like marginally, like technically, but like you look at the ingredient label, it is literally just like blueberries, just frozen.
Yeah,
and so like what Brendan's saying is like technically, if anything. Freezing the fruit preserves the nutrients. It actually has more nutrients.
And they freeze them at the ideal time. So you're probably going to get a little bit more nutrition from frozen fruit. So yeah, like go buy that stuff. It's not that it's not like crazy expensive at all.
Cheaper, and then also it's so much more convenient. You end up wasting less of it.
Yeah.
Because like you buy blueberries, they go bad. You have frozen blueberries, you can, you don't like blueberries every day. You can have a little bit here and it's perfectly fine to have a week later.
Yeah. I find myself like making my protein shakes and purposely putting frozen blueberries in them often, frozen strawberries, stuff like that. And I kind of remind myself to do that because like we have the strawberry protein and like it tastes delicious without any of that. But I find myself going, no, like add this frozen fruit in because I'm getting more antioxidants, more polyphenols, more fiber, which is amazing. So like I've been making my protein shakes like even more and more nutrient dense, throwing an egg yolk in there like we did today. So yeah, it's just so easy to do. And kiwis, man, I'm telling you, you turn the world on to kiwis, man.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love seeing people eat the kiwis because I mean, there's just such an underrated fruit. Like not
They
many
are.
people are eating them, and I just think they should be way more mainstream.
Yeah, they're delicious, dude. And now you know the little nutrient dense bombs out there. So
Sorry.
eat your kiwis. This brings us to number 5. And I think we're going to throw in a bonus for you guys. So stay tuned. But number 5.
Number 5. So should I do the bonus now? So number 5, I'm going to throw in dairy. So dairy, the reason I'm putting this at number 5 is just crucial. I've been talking about this a lot lately. Calcium.
Yes.
And it's like calcium is such an important nutrient for everybody, especially kids who are growing and you're developing. You develop 45% of your body's total bone mass during your adolescent years. And without adequate calcium intake, you're less likely to build a strong bone structure. And that's going to lead to increased injury risk for the rest of your life. And it's also going to lead to increased risk for osteoporosis. And without dairy, there's other things like you can eat canned fish with the bones because the bones have the calcium in it. Vegetables are going to have, smaller amount. But really dairy's like, it's so paramount.
Without dairy, if you don't have dairy in your diet, it's going to be very tough for you to get calcium in. I think it's pretty fair to say that. And then supplementing with calcium is a really dicey game to supplement calcium in large amounts. There's different forms of calcium and there's different research showing that it can basically cause some calcification in the arteries if you do high doses of some certain forms. So it leads you to this sort of like paradox of like, okay, what do? I feel like a lot of people out there think they can't do dairy, but they can. I was in this camp. I was even in this camp when I was healthy and dialed in. I thought, okay, I can do like a little bit of dairy, but if I do a lot, it'll give me an upset stomach. And what I did, this is just what I did, and I've done a video on it. I'm not saying this is some heal all for everybody, but this like changed my life, so I will just share what I did. I figured, after talking to my functional medicine doctor, there is the lactase enzyme, which helps digest lactose, right? And turns out it's not in raw dairy in any significant quantity, so you guys don't need to go buy raw dairy. People are putting the information that I'm about to put out to you right now, but saying raw dairy can do this, that's bullshit. Okay? Oh. So basically what I did is I took these dairy digest enzymes and I had dairy with very small amounts of lactose in it. Parmesan cheese, kefir, Greek yogurt, stuff like that that actually doesn't have that much of that sugar from dairy in there. And I was taking this enzyme and I did very small amounts and I've ramped it up. So I'm taking this enzyme, doing this very, a little pint, and I'm like, okay, I feel totally fine. I feel great. And then I ramped up a little more to do, some actual, like, more lactose heavy stuff, just like traditional milk, like just like more with the lactase enzyme still. And then I slowly tapered the lactase enzyme down while having my dairy. I have never had issues with dairy since. Tanner and I will get a gallon of, Raw Farms or any dairy, and we'll just chug it, dude. Like that, like we down that. We eat cheese, like it's like whatever. And I haven't had issues since. I don't know why that is. Like I would love to tell you there's like some specific thing and that could be something that could be scaled to everybody. Since posting that video on what I've done, I've had a lot of people hit me up and say they did the same thing. I'm sure there's people out there with actual very bad dairy intolerances. I did not have that. I just would get upset stomachs sometimes when I went heavy on the dairy. I do not anymore, and I eat a lot of dairy. So what am I getting when I'm having my cheese, my milk, my yogurt? Calcium and what else?
Calcium, phosphorus. With milk especially, you're getting vitamin D. You're getting a little bit of vitamin D, a little bit of vitamin A. And you're getting some protein. You're getting some healthy fats. You're even getting a little bit of carbs. And one thing...
it's the perfect food, bro.
Yeah.
It is the perfect food. It is one of the best things you can incorporate into your diet because I'm sure you're like me. Like I'm in a rush sometimes, and like I can just take the kefir and just like down half of that thing and maybe a little bit of honey, and it's like I have just got protein. I've got some carbs. I have potassium. Dairy has a lot of potassium. Like
Yeah.
dietary potassium's difficult to get. And it's like, I like my coconut water, I like my avocados, like my banana, but like dairy has a lot of potassium in there. It's just crazy. I'm in love with dairy.
Yeah, and one thing I want to, because you alluded to Greek yogurt and cheese, I
Mhm.
feel like it's always been a thing like drinking milk's gonna grow your bones, big
Mhm.
bones, but I feel like cheese always gets a bad rep. Like
It
cheese
does,
is
yeah.
unhealthy. Cheese is dairy. Cheese is going to give you calcium. It's good for you. I talk a lot about the different types of cheeses and which ones are more nutrient dense. If you follow me, Parmigiano Reggiano, hard cheeses tend to be a little bit more nutrient dense. But at the end of the day, if you don't like those cheeses and you'd rather eat soft cheeses, just like, normal cheddar, completely fine, still super nutrient dense. Another thing you mentioned was Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt's incredible, great source of calcium. And also, it's just so easy to put in your diet. You get Greek yogurt,
That's it. Yeah.
fruit, and a little bit of Santa Cruz paleo protein in there.
The
And
yogurt bowl, bro.
the
Yeah.
yogurt bowl, and if you need it, you don't even need it, but if you need it, a little bit of honey,
Yeah, it's good.
it tastes like ice cream. Like
Yeah.
if you have a sweet tooth, that is the key. I get that question. We probably both get that question every single day. Like, I have a sweet tooth. What do I do?
Yep.
Do that.
Almost every single night, I will eat my dinner, I'll eat my food, and then, I'm watching Netflix with my girl, whatever it is, and I'm like, I'm still a little bit hungry, and yeah, I want something sweet. I take Greek yogurt, I put some into a bowl, I put some organic frozen blueberries, I put a scoop of our protein powder, a little bit of honey, I put some cardamom in it now, just I don't know why, I've just been doing that lately, and sometimes I'll put an egg yolk in there as well.
Bam.
I'll stir that up and I eat that, and it's so good. You can also do Greek yogurt, chocolate whey,
Dark chocolate.
frozen bananas, and a little touch of maple syrup. It's insane how good it is, and it's like you're getting 40 grams of protein when I make a
Yeah.
big yogurt bowl, and it's like it's just absolutely delicious. It's amazing. And then also we've broken down the cost for a big yogurt bowl like that. It's so affordable. It's insane. The scoop of protein's like $1, maybe $2 if you're doing some more. The frozen fruit's like literally nothing. You're talking like 30, 40 cents, for like really high quality frozen fruit. The Greek yogurt, a couple scoops of it with the highest quality Greek yogurt in the world is going to be like $2. So you're getting like a giant bowl of stuff for a few bucks. It's just amazing.
I think like that's one thing I want to talk about. Like when you talk about the Greek yogurt bowl, it like really, I want people to know, and I think something that's helped a lot of people with our content, even people like Paul Saladino and just that lifestyle, is that eating healthy, it doesn't suck. There's this like false narrative that like you have to be eating food you don't like. I love the food I eat every day. I never get sick of my 6 eggs with cheese and my kiwis and then my Greek yogurt bowls and my fish and my beef. It's like, it's crazy. And I feel like that's just so unfortunate that people think that eating healthy sucks because it's amazing.
It really is. It absolutely is. Now we got to hit him with a bonus one.
The bonus one is you're probably thinking, what the hell has he already hasn't mentioned this, is beef. The reason why I didn't put in beef as one of the 5 is because I was really trying to touch all my bases there and make sure all of our nutrients are covered. And with beef, there's a lot of overlap with eggs, the nutrients there. So the main nutrients you're getting in beef are going to be B vitamins, choline, zinc, iron, phosphorus, and selenium. If you remember what I said with the eggs, the one nutrient there where there wasn't the overlap is the zinc. So beef is going to be your best source of zinc, whether it's beef, steak. And another advantage of beef that I really like is that you can kind of customize the fat to protein ratio based on, you can do the same thing with eggs and egg whites, but if you're bulking, you can get a fattier cut, which is going to be cheaper if you're on a budget. And if you're trying to cut, you can get a leaner cut. But yeah, beef is just such a staple. I can't make a video like this without mentioning it because it's just, it's first of all, it tastes amazing. Like everybody loves burgers, and like back to that whole like eating healthy is awesome thing. Like I loved burgers growing up, but it was like you can't have burgers every day. And it's like now it just feels so liberating. It's like I can eat burgers for dinner, for breakfast. Like this is healthy. This is helping me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, beef is a staple.
Yeah, beef. Y'all know I love my grass-fed beef, man. Like, oh my goodness. And if you can't afford grass-fed, just don't get grass-fed. It's literally that simple. You don't have to eat grass-fed. If you can afford it, I'd recommend it. But in all honesty, the nutrient profile isn't that much different. You get a slightly different fatty acid profile. Meat's just amazing, man. We're if you talk about evolution of our species, we have been eating meat forever. You could be the most vegan person watching this. Your ancestors hunted down animals and ate bone marrow and meat to get you here. So if you choose to eat meat, that's up to you. But we've been eating it forever. I think some of the foods we touched on today, there'll be some people saying there's saturated fat in there that'll increase your LDL. What I have to say to those people is, yes, saturated fat intake can increase LDL. However, we don't know everything about LDL right now. It is not as simple as if you eat these foods, you will die of heart disease. because there are cultures where these foods have been consumed forever and they have very low rates of heart disease. There are also people out there with low LDL that have heart attacks, and there are people who go their whole life with high LDL and never get a heart attack. We're both not people who are eating sticks of butter and trying as much as they can to maximize our cholesterol or anything like that, but my cholesterol numbers aren't insane. I don't, like, this is not, if you're watching this right now and you are an athletic human being, you are in shape, this is not something you need to be concerned about. You need to be more concerned about being in good shape, being lean, because you know what they absolutely do know? Holding extra fat in your body and being obese is horrible for you in many ways. There's no debate on that. So yeah, man, eat your healthy fats.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes back to the balanced diet thing. I mean, it's like you said, we're not going around eating sticks of butter. What we do know is like things like monounsaturated fats, like oleic acid that you get from avocados, olive oil, super healthy.
Absolutely.
A little bit of, you have some saturated fat, omega-3s, getting exposure to all of them, I think is the best approach. And you do that through a balanced diet.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I hope this video helped you. Let me know some nutrient-dense foods that you like eating below. And if you have any recipes you like, let me know below, and maybe I'll make one of them. Sillz, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Sillz, Sillz, 2 L's in the Z, Sillz. And then on Instagram, SillzFit, SillzFit. And on YouTube, Sillz. Don't post there yet, but
He's gonna start.
you can start soon.
So, guys, much love. Go eat some kiwis. Love you.
Love you guys.